Hey guys, Level Cap here, and today I want to talk about my concerns for DICE's upcoming addition to the Battlefield franchise, Battlefield 2042. And let me just be clear from the start that I am very excited for this game, and I think it shows a ton of promise. In fact, I'd say it easily has the potential to be the most popular Battlefield game ever. That being said, as a longtime Battlefield player, I just can't ignore how often DICE has tied their shoelaces together when attempting to run with new features. And I do think that many veteran fans will remember the past and use it to influence their expectations with the next game. And well, if you're new to the franchise, perhaps this video will give you some insight as to what a weathered Battlefield player might be concerned about. So why don't we begin by talking about my top concern for Battlefield 2042, and that is the 128 player count upgrade. One does not simply double the player count of a Battlefield game as much as one does not simply walk into Mordor. When you double a player count, things change in less predictable and even exponential ways. You can't just double the size of a map and number of flags and call it good. Things are gonna get nutty. And as someone who has personally put hundreds of hours into playing PlanetSide 1 and 2, a game with massive 1,000 player plus battles, I can tell you that extreme scale shooters have a spam problem and a momentum problem that's really difficult to fix. Players naturally like to go where the action is. If there's a 100 player battle somewhere on the map and then some smaller 5 player battles scattered around, well, most players are gonna go right toward that massive fight. They want to drop into the action to see big explosions and massive battles. Map strategy be damned. And in Battlefield, soldiers don't have to follow orders or play strategically. We do what's fun, and that can often mean the game mode takes a backseat to just having fun in a big sandbox. If the mode isn't designed in a way to corral players and split them up and move them around the conquest maps properly, then the combat could be either painfully imbalanced or extremely spammy, or both. And if DICE didn't start testing the gameplay early enough to correct for issues that crop up, well, we could be in for one of the worst flowing and most spammy Battlefield games of all time. And sure, dropping into a Metro 64 server can be fun when you just want to watch the world burn, but if every 128 player server becomes a Metro 64 non-stop explosions and carnage environment, it could be an absolute disaster for the franchise. Hopefully, DICE had these exact same thoughts way back when they started the development and have made it a top priority of the design process. They did mention a new cluster cap system designed to improve the flow of the capture mechanics for Conquest, so hopefully this can alleviate some of the potential problems. Now, another concern that's related to the new features of 2042 is how bots are going to play into the whole equation. In ideal circumstances, when Battlefield is being played at peak hours and in popular regions of the world, you probably won't have to see too many bots. But what if you play in off-peak hours, like the morning as I often do, or you're in a low population area? I can tell you personally that fighting bots has no fun factor for me. I only enjoy outplaying real players, and bots are nothing more than a distraction from that. So if I end up on servers that are frequently populated with say 30% bots, it's gonna be an issue for me. If 1 out of every 3 kills are bots, I think I'm gonna get put off from the gameplay. And of course, this new feature is still a very big question mark in terms of how it fully plays out. Hopefully bots are more to fill in slots for almost full servers, or balance out teams in which say 2 squads full of players just quit the match. But if the bot population gets too high, it will be a major turnoff for me, and I'd imagine other people who prefer playing against real people. On the bright side, it does sound like bots will be a feature that can be easily adjusted after launch to try and perfect how they integrate with normal players. Now, the next big concern on my list is the class system. And I don't think it's the typical concern. I personally don't mind DICE's approach to having named class archetypes and more specific roles. Yeah, it's a little copy and paste from Call of Duty, but I do still think its functionality of adding more subclasses will benefit the game. However, I do take issue with the mass mixing of weapons and gadgets. If every class can equip any gun like a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher, then what happens to the value of specific class types? It seems like classes could easily just become augments of your normal loadout instead of dictating the specific role that you play. Picking a class might be more like picking a special ability instead of an entire playstyle. What I enjoyed so much about previous Battlefield games, and especially Battlefield 1, was that the classes were very different and very effective in their specific roles. The changes in the flow of combat really rewarded players who could swap between class types on the fly and play them well. It felt like DICE was closer to getting class balance right in Battlefield 1 than any other Battlefield game, and I liked having to get proficient with all the types of weapons and playstyles to be the best and most diverse player that I could be. But with the new weapon and gadget system, it seems like DICE is really going to let players get comfortable in one or two playstyles and never have to venture far from their comfort zone. I fear we won't see much weapon variety, but instead fall into the COD or Warzone effect of everyone running the top meta setup with little divergence. And this is one of those problems that likely won't reveal itself during internal testing, since those environments rarely replicate the greater player base mentality and post-launch mentality. If things do go the way that I fear they could, it may kill off classes for Battlefield, at least in the traditional sense, and rob the franchise of one of its defining features, making it feel much more like COD or any other shooter with a custom loadout option. Again, hopefully things don't go in this direction, but I would not be surprised if DICE is not anticipating what this will ultimately do for class balance. Now, my next concern has to do with poorly designed live service assignments. And while nothing in the reveal trailer or gameplay trailer would specifically lead me to believe that this would be an issue for 2042, Battlefield's entire history of assignment systems has been by far the weakest aspect of their game design. Like a slow-turning ship, DICE has always lagged behind the competition when it comes to updating and staying on top of gaming trends. And as they attempted to implement assignments and live service content, it became clear that they were attempting to mimic the industry without understanding some of the basic principles of designing such a system. I first remember it beginning with Battlefield 3's extremely limited assignment system that still forced you to play in weird, awkward ways, and it evolved into one of the worst assignment systems I've ever seen in Battlefield 5, with obscure and anti-teamwork oriented objectives. It's actually somewhat comical that one of the few things that has been consistent throughout Battlefield's last 10 years of development is a poorly thought out assignment system. Maybe Battlefield 2042 will address this issue, especially for a game going all in with multiplayer and live service, sacrificing a single player. The design of this system should be top notch and not an afterthought, as it will dictate a lot of the end game fun factor. Sadly, I doubt we'll be able to make any accurate predictions about what the system's gonna be until at least getting hands-on with the beta. Now, my last major concern is the gunplay. One of the more inconsistent aspects of this franchise has been weapon handling design. Battlefield has made a name for itself, offering more realistic ballistics and mechanics when compared to other big brand shooters, but the handling of their weapons in game has been all over the place. In fact, it appears that DICE has attempted to redesign their weapon handling philosophy from the ground up for the past several titles, leaving players with a wildly inconsistent feeling between Battlefield games. It's been somewhat perplexing to the fan base and gives me the impression that DICE doesn't really know what they want and are struggling internally to find a clear direction. What's even more perplexing is that most of the fan base seems to be pretty happy with, say, Battlefield 4's approach to weapon mechanics, and it hasn't really been that much of a secret. And yet, DICE keeps trying to fix what isn't broken or reinvent the wheel. Weapon mechanics are going to be a big question mark for the next franchise, as we have no idea what to expect, and I don't think anyone wants to see massive overhauls throughout the game's lifespan that fundamentally change everything. Battlefield 5 was notorious for making sweeping weapon changes that fundamentally altered the way that all weapons performed, only to completely roll things back a few months later. This and many other questionable design decisions have shaken my faith in DICE's ability to deliver a great weapon balance system. Hopefully, and I think hope really is the theme of today's video, hopefully DICE did their homework and will deliver a good weapon handling and balance blueprint. And I don't expect games of this size to get weapon balance right from day one, since it's hard to predict gun meta trends, but I do expect them to at least have a good foundation that can be built upon to achieve better balance. Now, of course, there's about 100 other nuanced areas of Battlefield design that are still big question marks for me, but when it comes to my top issues and my biggest concerns, those 5 topics are it. If DICE can nail all 5 of them, or even 4, we're probably going to have a pretty solid game on our hands. And again, I am extremely excited to get some hands-on time with the next title. This video isn't intended to deflate your hype balloon, but rather prepare you for what I have come to expect from a Battlefield release. I've still sunk thousands of hours into Battlefield games, problems and all, and I'm pretty sure it won't be any different for Battlefield 2042. Let me know what aspects of this game you're most curious or even concerned about in the comments. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap signing off.